Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michael Wright. I'm the Vice President and Chief of Staff for Wayne State University. Thank you for being here on this day for this news conference. We don't have a lot of new information since last night, but we thought it would be helpful to make the leadership of the campus available for you today to ask questions and perhaps get a little more depth of information. So Chief Tony Holt from Wayne State University, Chief Tony Holt will be speaking momentarily, followed by President M. Roy Wilson. After that, we'll take questions from all of you. This is a tough day for Wayne State University. Our police officers at Wayne State are dedicated, courageous men and women who put their lives on the line every day and without whom we could not do our jobs. The outpouring of support from the community and from across the nation, especially law enforcement, has been profound. And that's just one more testimony to how great these people are. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Chief Holt to come up and give you a little more information. Thank you.
Good morning. This is a very difficult day for me. In my 40-plus years since being a member of the Wayne State Police Department, I never thought I would face a day like this. We had one of our officers who was patrolling off campus in an area where we have students living, where we have even police officers living, and we work very closely with the community. He was about to investigate and question the suspect, and shortly afterwards he was shot in the head. He was transported to receiving hospital. He undergone surgery, and he's in recovery right now. It looks very grave, but our prayers are with him. We don't know the outcome as of yet. But let me tell you about this officer. This officer's name is Colin Rose. He's been with our department 5 years, 29 years of age. He's not only a police officer, he has a specialty as a canine handler. He works events all over the state: Ford Field, Comerica Park, Joe Louis Arena, all sorts of dignitary details. He's a graduate of Ferris State University in 2010. He worked as a cadet with the New Baltimore Police Department. His first police job was the Village of Richland Police Department. We were fortunate to recruit him, and he became a member of our department. He is not only a canine handler, he's probably one of the best canine handlers, not only in the state, but in the country. So unfortunately, he's engaged to be married in October of 2017. He's a proud member of the Metro Detroit Chapter 1 of the Police Unity Terror. It's so unfortunate that just a couple months ago, he organized and put forth a memorial for a slain Detroit police officer, Patrick Hill, in which he named his dog Wolverine after this officer. And that's where we're at right now. The investigation is ongoing. It's being conducted by the Detroit Police Department. And again, we'll entertain some specific questions afterwards. But at this time, I'd like to introduce President M. Roy Wilson. President Wilson has been at the hospital throughout the night. And we get so much support here for our department from the administration. Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks for everything you do. I can't sugarcoat this. This is a tragedy of immense proportions, something that Wayne State, fortunately, rarely has to experience. As much as we're all grieving, I can only imagine, we can all only imagine what their families going through, particularly their parents, his parents, as well as his fiancée. I also want to show support for his fellow officers. This is the 50th anniversary of our police department. In solidarity with them, I decided to wear this 50th anniversary police hat. Our public officers do a fantastic job. They're beloved by not only the Wayne State community, but the greater community. And Colin was just doing his job. And for that, we thank him. I know these police officers, most of them, and they're the finest men and women you can imagine. So I'm thinking about them also. And then finally, I just want to thank both the Detroit City Police and the Michigan State Police for their assistance in apprehending a suspect and getting him into custody, identifying the person, bringing him into custody in such a short period of time. We can all at least rest a little easier that he's off the streets. But like I said, this is a tragedy of immense proportions. All of our thoughts go to the family, to his fellow officers. We appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Dr. Wilson, Nima Shafe with Channel 7 ABC here in Detroit. I understand that your officers were part of a search warrant that was carried out this morning in 3600 block of Lincoln. What can you tell us about that warrant execution?
The chief will have to answer that question.
Let me clarify. We have a person of interest. Told he's actually, a warrant has been obtained. He's actually charged with the crime. The investigation is ongoing. That execution of a search warrant was looking for a discovery of physical evidence. We're looking for a possibility where this suspect was. Mind you, this was a case or an incident. We have over 200 officers out there within minutes. Michigan State Police, Detroit Police, federal agencies, and Wayne State Police. This was a total collaborative team effort. And we backed up and we looked at every piece of evidence. Something led us to that address. We requested a search warrant and executed that to look for evidence.
Was anything found, and if so, what was found? What can you tell us?
Yeah, you know, unfortunate, I can't reveal that right now because this is, again, it's an ongoing investigation, and we present this evidence to the prosecutor. I want her to get it from us first instead of looking at it on the news.
Chief, what can you just clarify? Is it a person of interest or a suspect? They're being charged.
They have not been charged yet. You know, he's a person of interest, and until he's actually charged, well, let's call him a suspect. Let's not play with it. He is a suspect.
And Chief,
What can you tell us about the suspect or this person of interest? Do you have there been contacts with him in the past?
The person who we took into custody at this time, we took him into custody on some outstanding warrants that he presently has. And they were misdemeanor warrants. For the exact charge, I'm not sure at this time. We have had previous contact several years ago with this subject.
for what?
It was assaultive type crimes against police officers.
Against police officers?
Yes.
Against one of your own?
Yes.
So he's known to your office?
Well, he's known to some of our officers, and not all of our officers, but he is a known person to us.
Chief, what happened in that incident, the previous?
Oh, the person was disorderly. The one I remember, he was in blocking traffic in the middle of the street, and when he was politely asked to leave the location, he decided not to.
And when was this, Chief?
One was in 2011, a couple incidents. I believe it was one in 2014 also.
Did any of your officers have any injuries because of it?
We had one officer who sustained minor injuries during the scuffle.
Can you clarify, and we don't want to paint a picture that the public may or may not understand, but we understand that Officer Colin Rose is in grave condition, being shot in the head,
That's true.
it's a difficult road. Can you explain kind of what the prognosis is or what doctors have been telling you?
It's very grave right now. He is on heavy medication and a ventilator. It's very grave at this time.
Would you consider him on life support?
Yes.
His parents, we understand, and his fiancé.
His fiance was right there, and the parents are here also. They are with him right now.
Chief, what was the initial incident where Officer Rose made the stop? What led to that, and what became of that suspect who was on the bike?
Well, what led to him being stopped or wanted to have contact with Officer Rose, that's still being investigated. Obviously we can't speak to Officer Rose. So we're trying to put the pieces together after this here.
Can you say if you think he was ambushed or targeted?
specifically?
I really don't know. I don't believe it was an ambush. I don't believe he was specifically targeted. I believe the officer was making a stop, and what occurred after that, I'm not really sure.
Chief, your officers from Wayne State, they actually are Detroit police officers, my understanding. They patrol.
All our officers are certified, sworn in as certified Detroit police officers with no restrictions.
And they can go beyond even the main campus.
Well, we have a designated area that we patrol, and that's one of the designated areas. About a 7.5-mile area surrounding the campus.
Will you be making any changes as a result of this incident?
You know, after every incident, and basically after every month, we review our procedures. Safety is our number one concern. I tell you that's the number one concern of the president, the safety of the students, the staff, the community, and especially our officers. Anytime we have any kind of incident that is tragic, we review all our procedures.
Chief, could you speak to the 2014 incident he had that was assaultive, and what became of that incident?
Oh, I don't know. It was assault of a crime. I think he was charged with resisting and destructing, which is a misdemeanor. I'm not sure the disposition of the case when happened after he went to court. But those are harmless misdemeanors.
Is he cooperating now with the officer?
That I don't know. That investigation is being held by Detroit Police.
Chief, he had a dog with him at the time. Did his dog get loose and they?
No, he has two dogs. He has a narcotics dog. He has a bomb dog. He has one of the first officer of the state to have this new vaporweight dog, very specialized explosive detection dog. Dogs were in the car. We don't use the dogs as crowd patrol or if we stop at a subject, we don't take the dog out. He was making a regular police stop, a contact.
Two dogs inside his car.
Two dogs.
And it was apparently for a series of break-ins.
No. What happened was the night before, we made some arrests on a series of break-in in that area. But that's the area that we routinely patrol.
So why was he scouting this?
Then again, we were trying to determine what was the nature of the stop. You know,
The day before, there were break-ins in this area, car break-ins? What was it?
yeah, there's been a rash in Metro Detroit, Harper Woods, Romulus, Livonia, navigation systems taken for vehicles. And the night before, our officers apprehended a suspect who broke into several cars in that area.
Did you find any navigation systems when you arrested?
Well, he was on a bicycle. We didn't find anything on his bike.
I understand you want the prosecutor to find this out from you guys, but I mean, has the gun been recovered? Or are you?
The gun has not been recovered. ATF right now has a $5,000 reward out for any information needed to the recovery of the weapon.
Chief, how are your other officers? I mean, many of them are here in the room today. I imagine things are somber and difficult.
It's very, very difficult. We have a counseling service for the university here, reaching out to the officers, very concerned with how they're reacting to this. But at the same time, they're very, very professional. They know that we are a service-oriented department, and they're going to go right back out there and do the job that people depend on us to do. And I want to reiterate, this was an off-campus situation event. The campus is very safe. The school is open. Students are here, and we're here to protect them.
How many officers do you have in your department, Chief?
We have 65.
Can I make a,
That I really don't know right now. I don't have all the details on that one.
if I can just jump in just for a second. In terms of the morale of the officers, you know, they haven't had to deal with something like this ever most of them forever. The last time an officer, a Wayne State officer, was shot was 36 years ago, and he was shot in the leg. Many of these officers are younger than 36, and so they haven't dealt with something like this. And so, as the chief said, you know, they have a lot to try to take in, and we're trying to just be very helpful. In terms of what Colin was doing, one of the things that our public safety officers do is to not only patrol the campus, but to patrol the neighborhood. And it makes the neighborhoods much safer for the neighborhood in terms of the businesses and residents there, but also for our students. And so this is a responsibility that we take willingly to make the neighborhoods safer for our students and our community.
President, have you done anything as far as notifying students or asking students to take any extra precautions because it's
We have been sending out updates to the entire campus community as they were available. And as always, we tell our students that despite the fact that we have a very safe campus, that we always advise our students to be aware of their surroundings and take precautions and to report anything that's suspicious. And we've been continuing to do that.
If I can just add one thing to that. Our students and our campus community have been notified via text, email, on our website. We've had continual updates, and also through our social media. So we've tried to be very transparent and open about this, so everybody knows. And part of that messaging is going to be aware of your surroundings, be vigilant, be safe.
Chief, can you speak more to the character of Officer Rose? I mean, he's a young guy, but he seems like he's more involved and has done more with his career than some old veterans at this point.
Yes, he have. That's why he's a canine handler. We just don't give a dog to anyone, and we don't give that type of extensive training. He just came back from Georgia for the specialized training with this dog. And not only is he a canine handler, he's very, very involved in the community. He goes to schools, he gives out demos. Again, he's on the police unity tour. I don't believe it's a police officer that has suffered a death anywhere in the United States that he has not been to that funeral and volunteered on his own. He is an outstanding, proactive officer. He's one credit short of receiving his master's degree. He's going to school. He assists Detroit with the training of their dogs. He's just a really well-rounded, involved officer. Very well-liked. If you were at the hospital like I was, where you see the pouring of emails, text messages, officers coming from Taylor, Livonia, different agencies. I get a call from the chief of Virginia Tech, wishing well for the officers. That just shows you the character of the officer and the nature of this job.
What's the master's in?
I believe it's in police administration.
At Wayne State?
Yes.
Chief, we see many of his colleagues here. Are there any other officers that work with him closely? Can speak more to his character, what a great officer he is?
We're a small department, generally 65, and we work very, very closely. We're a family, and we're a team. I think any officer in this department would speak very, very highly of him. Not only him, we have community members in this audience who also will tell you about the work of Colin Rose and what we do.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all very much.
Okay, start off with that.